Hey everybody, this is Jim with Harvest Harmonics. Welcome to the future of farming today. And in today's episode, I want to talk about how does the crop booster work on all crops? This is a question I get about our crop booster technology quite often, and it really has to do with the nature of the programming that makes up our system, okay? We get this question a lot because the common wisdom is, look, there's millions of different types of plants in the world, and therefore to treat plants, and say you can treat all plants equally is not the case, right? And I think it makes sense when you're looking at it from a biochemical standpoint. Right? Certain crops like corn, for example, need a lot of nitrogen, right? Other crops like legumes, like soybeans and those types of things, they actually don't need nitrogen. They actually fix nitrogen and actually put nitrogen back in the soil. So with all the different varieties of plants in the world, how does the crop booster able to improve all plants, or how do we have one set of programs that works for all plants? Now that's a question that I get quite often. It's a very good question actually, because there is a lot of differences. You look at a tree there, an oak tree, or let's say a lemon tree or an orange tree, something like that, right? And you compare it to hay, a grass on the ground, or you compare it to some other crop, row crop or something like that. And there's like, these plants are way different. How is it possible for one system to work on all kinds of plants? The answer to that question is photosynthesis, right? Our technology really focuses in and hones in on photosynthesis efficiency. And by making photosynthesis in the plant more efficient, you can, of course, improve all the other biological systems. It's kind of like if you just increased your own energy level, if you worked out and ate really healthy and improved your energy level, your metabolism, it's going to affect the different organs and muscles and everything else in your body. And your body will have the greater ability to fix itself, to heal itself, to do things, and to operate efficiency, right? Plants are no different in that aspect. Of course, plants are different than people, but plants, of course, have their own metabolism. And that is, of course, photosynthesis. And how a plant generates energy in photosynthesis has to do with the use of sunlight, the use of carbon dioxide, the use of water to combine and make sugar molecules, right? And I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of how that process works necessarily, but it's very interesting that even though there are millions of varieties of plants in the world, it turns out that there's only 3 types of photosynthesis, right? So if you think of any type of plant you can imagine, whether it's a tree or a root type plant or a row crop or a grass or a flower, any type of plant, any one of those types of plants, if it uses photosynthesis at all, it uses one of 3 types of photosynthesis. And for those of you guys that want to know, it's C3, C4, and CAM. Now, what those abbreviations stand for is how many carbon molecules are created when the photosynthesis process creates a sugar molecule. Now, when we take water and carbon dioxide, the plant is going to make a different type of glucose or sugar molecule from that process. And for example, cacti or cactuses or succulents, they have a CAM type photosynthesis, right? If you look at trees and most row crops and almost all the crops in the world, probably 80 or 90% of the crops out there, they use what they call a C3 type photosynthesis. And of course, corn and bamboo and sugarcane, these types of crops use a C4. And you don't need to know all that complicated jargon. You don't need to be a scientist to be understanding this. All you have to understand is that the Kiminasi crop booster technology has programming for each of those types of photosynthesis. So we don't need to have all of the different aspects of every single type of the millions of varieties of plants in the world. All we really need to do, if we really want to make plants more efficient, is focus in on those 3 types of photosynthesis and those specific biological processes. And our technology has over 3,000 unique signals and programs that correspond to those different types of photosynthesis. So if your plants are, let's say you're growing corn or that type of plant, you can use, it's going to use the C4 program, right? If you have orange trees or grasses or other types of plants that are C3 photosynthesis, there's a set of programs that are going to help those plants. And if you have a cacti, like a dragon fruit or something like that, or something that uses a CAM style photosynthesis, then that programming that is designed for that type of photosynthesis is the programs that are going to use this. It's almost like if you had a computer code and you had a computer code that has like, okay, if this is true, if the user enters the number 1, then you're going to run this program. If the user enters number 2, you're going to run this other program. And if the user enters number 3, you use this other program. And which program the user sees depends on what the user inputs. Our program works in a similar way. Whichever type of photosynthesis our system, the plant is using, is going to be this type of programming that applies to that plant. And the other programming is not going to work or do anything. It's not going to be positive or negative or affect the plant at all as far as those other types of photosynthesis. We've really developed a very sophisticated programming language that works on all plants. And because of this amazing breakthrough, that we can essentially get any plant anywhere in the world with any climate, any type of soil, any type of plant variety, and any type of fruit or vegetable, and we can boost it with the crop booster technology. And this is what allows one set of programs and one device, which is literally, if I show this to you, it's literally the size of a watch battery. We're talking the size of a nickel, but this little transmitter has been programmed with more information than you would see on one of these USB drives. And we all know we can get a lot of information on these USB drives nowadays. Well, we can get a lot of quantum energy into human-oxide crop booster technology. And just one of these can cover 5 to 10 acres, right, of land. And if you have a much bigger farm, of course, we have transmitters and systems that can accommodate that larger water flow. So if you guys have any kind of crop that uses photosynthesis, now, obviously, if you're growing mushrooms, if you're growing livestock, those types of things, we can't directly help you. But if you are growing livestock and you are growing the feed for that livestock, then we can energize the feed, which will, of course, help the livestock. So really, we've tried to make this as simple as possible. We tried to break down this immensely complex topic of all the biological systems in all plants and break it down to a simplicity. And that's one of the things that it's been missing from agriculture for the last 20 or 30 years. We've been running around trying to chase these different problems with, oh, we have an insect problem, let's spray a pesticide. Oh, we have a fungal problem over here, let's spray a fungicide. Oh, we have not enough nitrogen, let's use a chemical fertilizer. Oh, we need water over here, so let's water. We have all these different solutions that make this a very complicated business to grow a good crop and get a good crop out of the year. But the reality is we've broken all of that down to a simplicity. We just make the plants more efficient and healthier and able to use the existing nutrients and water that are available to it to its maximum potential so that you get a good yield no matter what the conditions are. If this sounds good to you and you want to be one of the first to try this out in your neighborhood, or maybe in an area where we've already got multiple locations, then that's fine too. It's time to jump on board with the future of farming today so that you can see maximum benefits now. And do it before everybody else catches on, because once they catch on, chances are the value of the crops that you're growing is going to decrease, and then you're going to have to do it anyway. So let's make you some money now. Let's get you into the future of farming today. Give us a call at 727-324-6750 or email us at service@harvestharmonics.com. Let's have a one-on-one consultation so I can show you what this technology does and show you how we can benefit